Okay, so here I'm going to show you how to create a simple C++ source file or program and run it in Dev C++. So we're going to start here. We can do File, New, and then you can see you can come to Source File here, or you also can see this is the new icon. You can just choose New Source File. And that will create an untitled document where you can start entering information. You will not be able to run your program, though, until it has a valid file name. So I recommend at this point just changing it to a valid file name. So I'm going to do a Save As. And this is my location where I'm storing my files. I have this folder on my desktop called Dev C++ CPP Files. Okay, that's where I'm keeping it. And I'm going to call my name, my file name, Sorrentino 1. It's my first project. You'll notice as the Save As type, right, this is what you'll see down here, and by default it will give it a CPP file extension, which is what we want for C++ files. So I recommend just putting your file name in and letting it default. And when I click Save, you'll see up here Sorrentino1.cpp. If your file name doesn't have a CPP, it's not going to work, so you have to make sure that you do that step correctly. Okay, I'm just going to create a real simple program. Every C++ program has to have this include statement in it. That includes the code that you need for basic input and output. Using namespace standard. That is just going to provide a using statement that allows us to use things that are in the standard namespace. And every program, in order to run, has to have a main. You'll see this is opening and closing parentheses. The main program starts with an opening curly brace. It ends with a curly brace. It'll put the ending one in for you, and then you can just hit enter to start typing inside the curly braces, which is the body of the main program. So here I'm going to put a simple output statement. Cout, that's two less than signs that have to be right next to each other. We'll just create a simple hello world program. Again, this is just an output operation, so two less than signs next to each other, and end L. And that puts an end of line character at the end. And then every program ends with return, and this is a 0. Okay. Up here, you'll see some icons to compile, run, and compile and run. Compile is just the process of taking your code and breaking it down into a machine language. It will give you any error messages if you don't create it correctly. We're just doing a simple program, so I'm just going to compile and run at the same time. You'll see some messages down here in the compile log, and there you go. It says hello world. Okay. If you do make an error, like let me just do this, I'll take this out. And then if you try and compile and run it, right, you get a message down here in function mean expected semicolon before end L. It tells you the line number and the column. You can always double click on this. You know, it's really missing this, not a semicolon, but it doesn't always realize the exact problem, but it does identify the line where the problem occurs. So this is where you'll see error messages, and you want to try to look at those to determine what you've done wrong. And then again, you could do these steps individually, compile. Well, I've already compiled and run, so I guess it's going to do that automatically. Okay, so that's the process for creating a simple file. If you make a new file, and let me just show you here. Right, it'll create a new tab for that file. Here's this one, here's this one. I would recommend, you know, as you're just starting and doing simple programs, just kind of close these when you're finished, and then when you start to make a new file, there won't be any problems between which one is going to run. You can right-click on the tab, and you can choose Close to close that tab, Close All, you know, to close all the tabs that are open, You know, if I'm over here, I can right click and I can choose, you know, close all except this one tab I'm currently on. And, you know, from over here, I can do a file close as well. When I'm all finished, you could just do a file exit to exit out of Deb C++. So just to show you here, I'm just going to close this tab, right? I'm going to close this tab, and then I'm going to exit.